Hey, horn salute and good morning. Kind of a wake and bake this time. I've been doing these YouTube videos. I'm looking at number 18 I just posted about my experiences in the Army and now after the Army, a couple videos. There's no decapitated heads, no crispy critters. I didn't mutilate any villagers, didn't kill any babies, no bayoneting charges or anything like that. It was peacetime Army, kind of lame, but bad things happen, and the experience does pay off later in life. It does open some doors. So, my stepdaughter, I don't have any kids of my own, and I met my ex-lady when she was 8.5 months pregnant, so instant family, good. There's no legalities here, and I can raise a kid. I'd watched my dad get raped by my mom over child support. So I learned early on in life that child support is not a good thing, especially when I knew that I was never going to make enough money just to barely survive, and I would be, goddamn, my money's going to go to some fucking bitch. That money don't go to the kids. It goes to the bitch, and whatever happens, we'll leave it at that. So, kid, as she's growing up, she ain't doing good in school. She's starting to fuck up. She's starting to not care, and we gave a fuck. And she was this last generation of kids that could get hit, and when you'd hit them, they go, that's child abuse, you're going to jail, that's child abuse. See, they started poisoning their brains in society, in school, that you can no longer hit a child. That's called child abuse. No longer discipline, no more trying to get your kids shit together. No, they just let it slide. So no, there's consequences of this shit, and we were seeing it with our kid by the time she was in 4th grade. She was 6 years old living in a car with me when I was homeless. She wasn't even quite in school yet, but by the time she's in school, 4th grade, there's problems that started showing up. We got her through like a karate thing there that they had at school. In fact, we lived across the street from the school temporarily. So by the time I get into my first house, she is really fucking up. She's getting in the 5th and 6th grade, and there's a lot of fights at night. Work's not getting done. Homework don't get done. She's more worried about friends and bullshit, and we were really starting to worry about her. So I called one day, and I'm thinking, God, there's got to be a program I can get this fucking kid in and scare her straight. So somehow I called the Marines. It's like, do you have a boot camp for kids? Says, yeah, we got just a perfect thing. It's called Young Marines. I've never heard of it, and probably a lot of you have never heard of Young Marines. It's a good program for wayward children. So we made contact, and Richards Gebauer wasn't too far down, and that's where the Marines were at. So I took her in there, and boom, you're going to stick with this for a while. I did 3 years total. I think she did about 2.5 years. She made corporal and threw it all away. But so anyway, as she's getting more involved with the the Young Marines program, they were needing some help. I mean, they had Marines who would give up their time to come in and help do the program. You had a it was like a Master Gunny Sergeant Reyes or something. This dude was way up there, and I have a lot of respect for Sergeant Reyes. He was kind of in charge, so people would come and give up their time. So they were asking if any of you guys from the Army, if you can pass a background check, you're not a chomo, there's not too much bad on your record. So I stepped up. I says, here's my bad record. Here's what I've done, but I think I've changed now. I can pee clean. But I was in my 40s. 39, 40 right in there, and I had gotten my shit together. In fact, we had lost our drug dealers in Lee Summit, so we hadn't smoked pot in a while. I could actually pass a drug test. So I got in, and what they would be one of their drill sergeants. I finally made my sergeant, you slimy scumbag, get on your face and give me 50. And finally, I'm a drill instructor. Oh, yeah. This was a way of redemption for me, okay? And I tell you what, one thing I would do with these kids is lead by example. If they were doing push-ups, I would do push-ups. I would do exercise with them. If those Marines were dogging my kids, I would be with my kids. And I actually ran the basic part where I would train the new young Marine recruits into becoming young Marines, and then it's supposed to be like 13, 14 weeks of this book, and it ends up sometimes being 6 months or better. It took a while for my kid to get to her graduation. So it's a good program. I met a lot of wayward kids in there, and this was a last-ditch effort. Now, my daughter eventually did graduate, and we got her to corporal, and she had all these badges. Man, I took her to shooting. We bought her a rifle. She went swimming. She did all this extra shit to earn all these ribbons and take all these tests to get her rank, and she threw it all away. I'm going to get back to that in a minute, but I got one story about a victim in reverse. And here's the mentality today with a certain segment of society. We had a little juvenile delinquent from the fucking hood, so you already get what I'm talking about. He's got the dollar signs on him. He's got a watch, and he comes up to me, and this is very disrespectful. He goes, hold my gear. So I dropped the watch, and I broke it. Yeah, that you don't go up to anybody, a sergeant or anybody, like a kid like that, and says, here, hold my shit. No, that is very disrespectful. So he disrespects me right off the bat, and I broke his watch accidentally. So he's going off about me on his fucking watch. He's going off about me and my fucking kid, because my kid, I had to push her. Everything that kid earned, I had to push, okay? And he's going off, and finally I went off on him and says, look, you're going to end up in jail or dead someday with your lifestyle. And I start mentioning Snoop Doggy Dogg and NWA. He goes, that's all old school. You're going to end up dead, kid. He starts crying. Ah! He goes and runs and crybabies to the big top sergeant. Says, he told me he was going to go to jail and all that. And I'm going off. And the sergeant had to break us up. He told me, walk away from it. He set that kid down. But the kid didn't like the reality check. Yeah, he told me I'm going to go to jail and I'm going to end up dead. Well, look at the lifestyle choices you're picking, punk. I don't know what happened to him after that. I couldn't care less. I hope I made a difference in his life. Get down, cat. Get down, cat. Fucking cat. Hope I made a difference in his life. One thing I would do at the Young Marines is, since I couldn't run in the Army, guess what? I ran everywhere. Wasn't very fast. I was doing a little bit of a jog, but I ran everywhere. And those kids did not like me because I ran everywhere. And what was cool, too, is they had a little obstacle course. So I'd run us out of the building, and we would pretend to play war things and do little maneuverings and go pow, 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 pow. This is not shit that normally the Marines would do. But yeah, since they were with me and out there and I had a little free reign, we'd be playing little war games and shit and go up to the obstacle course, do that, run down, and we'd do an assault on the building. Bang, bang, bang. All right, guys, go. Get in the building. Bang, 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 bang. And pretend to play wars. Oh, one of my favorites was kid get in trouble, tell him to go find a smart rock. He'd bring me up a rock. No, that's a dumb rock. Go find me a smart rock. Yeah, go find smart rocks and shit. And there was a lot of fun with that. And then at the same time, too, this is when Lee Ermey and Full Metal Jacket came out, so I had a lot of material. Would you get down, the damn cat? A lot of material to work with. So my kid, she finally makes corporal. We had ended up leaving Lee Summit, and that hurt her feelings because she had to leave behind her friends, but she was not doing worth the fucking school. She can sit there and blame me, her mother, and everything in her fucking life, but she threw away her education. We were in a super great school district. In fact, I think if she would have been a top grade 8 student, I might not have moved. She wasn't doing no good in school. There's bad influences here. She couldn't even walk 4 houses down either way. When we moved out to the country, she had free reign. She could walk anywhere, go anywhere she wanted. She could walk to school. It wasn't that far away. It was a smaller school, and she still couldn't get her shit together. Finally, I'm at work one night, and I get a phone call that the kid had drank a little thimbleful of fingernail polish remover. She tried to kill herself, supposedly. And that was that. They had her on a bunch of medicine, and she was like a fucking zombie. She got her little corporal, and that was it. That's it. She threw it away. She threw away her life, too, because after all that effort that we put into her, and even there was I think a Corporal Clive or something, a female Marine, and pulled her off to the side and says, look, kid, you got opportunities here. She was actually a good marksman. She could shoot a rifle naturally. But when I took her down to the rifle range qualifier, she could not focus, and it took longer than normal because she didn't care to finally get qualified on the rifle. And everybody, when she showed up, there was this kid down there that was all bragging and thought her shit didn't stink, and they were hoping my kid could beat her. That didn't happen. Man, my girl could not step up to take care of this problem. No, she was selfish, self-centered. I think, too, a problem with my kid is she looked at her aunt who was on disability, stuck in a wheelchair, taking pills all day, collecting money and shit, and she figured out, too, if you drop some kids, you can get child support, TANF, and all this other shit. So my kid went from being a corporal in the Young Marines to being pregnant at 16 and a dropout. And then she blames everything on me and her mother. I made contact with her on Facebook here a while back, and I tried to reconnect, and it's like, come on, whatever your fucking issue is, get over it. You got to take some responsibility for your own fuck-ups. I'm sorry for what I did. Nobody gave me a booklet on trying to get a kid's life together. And now she didn't give nothing back. I was like, fuck it, here's my videos and you can find me. But I'd met kids, this was their last chance, their last hope to getting their shit together, or they're going to end up dead in juvenile delinquency. Some of these were foster kids. Some of these kids were abused. Some of these kids wanted a career in the military, so this was a good way, kind of like a junior ROTC. So after my kid dropped out, I stuck around for a few extra months, and then my wife's job changed, and she couldn't work. Again, she couldn't work her schedule with mine, and that was the end of it. So for a little while, I was a role model. I was trying to help guide a kid on a good path, and then once I ended up in Clinton, hell, I became a junkie, and I used to think, God, I used to be a role model, and now one time, now look at me, I'm a piece of shit junkie. I'm not worth looking up to anymore. But I guess for that little bit of time, I had a lot of fun. I'm glad I had that time. And another thing that good tried to come out was the war in Iraq was going on, and I tried to re-enlist. I tried for the first Gulf War, and they told me to fuck off and go away. But this time they wanted people. I actually went down, took a smart test. I went down and took a physical. I needed a waiver. I was only 3 pounds overweight. But because I had a bar of enlistment, I even wrote Ike Skelton, who was a senator, and I could not get a waiver to go overseas. And I would have probably been 2006 or so. Well, I ended up being hurt in 2006, and I think it was December 28th, 06, my wife had left me for the 4th and final time, good riddance, and took the kid with her, and I really hadn't had much contact with her since. So there is a thing called Young Marines if you have an issue with a child, or if you're a vet with a clean record and you're not a fucking chomo, and pass a background check, and then give it some time and be a mentor, be something positive in somebody's life. I think kids today more than ever need this. So I just adored it, opened up. I took advantage of it. It was kind of a redemption for me. And that last little time I didn't get to serve, I got to give it back a little different, but I still gave it back. It is what it is. So hit the like and subscribe. If I can think up any more stories or anything, I will. Who knows how long this is going to last. Thanks a lot. Hit that like and subscribe.